on 6.9, and we're going to have a couple of things that we're using today. One, you will need your problem set book eventually. You will also need, it says lesson 4 template, but I'm all about recycling, so we're going to use this today because we're going to need these. And you're going to need some scrap paper to work on. So pause while you go get that stuff. All right, really quickly, I'd like you just to draw out a place value chart, remembering to label the parts as needed. I will help you out with where that big dot is anyway. It says and. Go ahead and pause while you fill that out. All right, you should have had hundredths, tenths on the right side of the decimal because they are not a whole. Ones, it's a whole. Tens, a whole. And hundreds is a whole. That's what your place value chart should look like. I have another one here just as a sample, so you can see that we even go into the thousandths. Alrighty. All right, let's get started talking about our plan today. Go ahead and get out your template paper. We're gonna go over this one together. We're gonna do some comparison today, and by comparison, I mean that we are going to be comparing different lengths. So this right here is our meter stick, and we are looking at how long one is versus the other. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to shade in 3 boxes. And I know how much you love cutting this, but cut this with 9 lines so you can cut it into tenths. Yeah, I'm close. I'm close. And I want you to shade 3 of them in. Just 3. 3 out of the 10. So our job is, before we can compare anything, we actually have to solve this and say what it is. Well, since this is a whole, or 1, what would be 3 parts of that? Well, if you think back to our chart, if I have just 3 parts of something, they would be tenths. So we know we're going to start out with 0 wholes, decimal, 3 tenths, because there are 10 large chunks throughout this whole piece. And how many of these little ones did I have you fill in? 3. Oh, look at that. That's funny. What is this cut into? If I cut every single one of these into 10 sections, I'd have a total of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So these are 300ths. This is my fraction, or my decimal. Let's do another. This time I want you to shade in 6 of my tenths. So remember, these are tenths. So there are 10 of these pieces. I colored in 6 of them. And then I'm going to have you cut this one, 9 lines, 10 pieces total by the end. Please don't count mine. I don't think they're right. I want you to shade in 7 of them. Shading in 7, and because you're, writing it is tough, you can just blockade it and just say you did 7. That's fine. All right, so let's do the same thing. How many holes do I have? Well, I have 0 holes because it's not all shaded in. Decimal. How many tenths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths. And how many hundredths? Well, I already had you write it because I forgot. Good thing I wrote it. Is 7. And you have to ask yourself, which one of these is bigger? Well, you can flip your paper over. Go ahead and flip your paper over. I want you to write 0.33 over 0.67. And then we start comparing. In my ones column, make sure you write what I write. 0, 0. They cancel each other out. In my tenths column, I have a 3 and I have a 6. Which one is larger? Well, hopefully you said the 6. And because the 6 is larger, you don't need to go any further. 67 hundredths is greater than 33 hundredths. And that's comparison. All right. Now, I'm going to give you, actually I think we'll keep it flipped over here. I'm going to give you about 4 different decimals. We're going to put them in order from least to greatest. So let's say I have 6 4/10, 3 5/10, 2 4/100, 78 hundredths, 24 tenths. You'll notice that I gave you a variety of ways, variety of methods. It's because I want you to have to figure out what each one is worth. I want you to have to break it all down. So my suggestion, if you need it, is to put these into your chart that we made earlier. There's my chart. And here's how I suggest you do it. I suggest you write one on top of the other, and then you can compare them. So 6 4/10, go ahead and put it down. 6 4/10, and then I check it off. 3.5 or 3 5/10, and then check it off. All right, you see what I'm doing? Go ahead and pause while you do that. Do the rest of them, please. All right, you should have gotten this right here, 2 4/100, right up above, 78 hundredths, and 24 tenths. Remember, 24 tenths. It has to end with what you say. Now we can compare. The best way to compare is to make sure you have all your columns filled in. Since I have some hundredths, you need to put zeros in the other spaces. All right, which one's the least, the smallest? Well, hopefully you looked here and said, oh, it's the 0. So 0.78 is indeed the smallest. It is less than. Which one comes next? Well, as we're looking at our ones, so this guy's done. We're looking at our ones. We have 2 2s. This is our ones place. So then we shift to the next spot. A 0 versus a 4. Which one's bigger? Or which one's smaller, rather? Yeah, this one's smaller because 0 is less than 4. That goes next. 2.04. Which is less than. What's the next one that would come on the list? Oh, the other 2. 2.40. Now keep going. Which one of these is smaller? Of course the 3 is. 3.50. I'm going to put a little less than symbol there. And last but not least is 6.40. Least to greatest. All right, that's really all you need to know for today. And then you can go ahead and compare and do your work in your problem set to find a partner. Good luck.